If you have been following the budget and expense tracking using Notion video series, then thank you so much for your support. We have already done the heavy lifting by creating the 3 major databases and the associated templates for those 3 databases. In this video, we shall write the formulas that we need for those 3 databases. I shall also mention those formulas in the Google Sheet, and you can just do a copy paste and it should work, provided you have also used the same column names that we have in the Google Sheet in your database. Otherwise, you have to make the adjustment accordingly. However, I would highly recommend to type in the formulas on your own, and that would help you to learn the Notion formulas. Let's start with the easiest one, the survivable amount of expense tracker database. And what we want to calculate for this survivable amount is that for any particular record of expense tracker database, how much is the survivable amount of total expense amount. And we will calculate that by multiplying the expense amount with the survivable amount %. So let's add that formula quickly. Click on survivable amount, edit property, edit formula, and we shall find expense amount, multiply that with survivable amount %. Let's close this one, and as we can see, for example, the first fresh item, the expense amount is 85, survivable amount % is 100, so the entire 85 amount is shown as survivable amount. Same is for the next fresh item as well. But if we scroll down, then we can see, for example, this outside food, the total expense is 80 and the survivable amount % is 50, so the survivable amount is 40. And here is another example for shopping. The survivable amount % is 60, so the amount is calculated as 18, which is 60% of total expense amount 30. Next, we shall create the formula for monthly budget. For this property, for any specific monthly record, we want to populate the budgeted amount for that record, which is mentioned in the column J in the Google Sheet. If the frequency of the expense head is monthly, then it's the monthly value, for example, fresh items or grocery. However, if the frequency of the expense head is quarterly, for example, daughter's school fees, then the value is the quarterly value, which is again mentioned in column J. And since the frequency of this expense head is quarterly, so this particular expense head will not be created every month. It will be created on specific months like January, April, July and October, because that is how we also set up the scheduling of that template. For example, if we see here, this will be created in every 3 months. As you can see, whenever this daughter school fees record will be created inside the monthly budget database, we want to see the corresponding quarterly portion values in this monthly budget database field, and that quarterly portion values is mentioned here in column J, as you can see here. The logic remains same for yearly frequency expense head as well. For example, health insurance and car insurance and maintenance. We have all these values available in the yearly budget database, so we just need to bring these values in the monthly budget database. But how? Yearly and monthly databases are already linked, so we should be able to access specific column of one database from other. And as you might have guessed, Notion has a special property which can help us to do that, and that's called rollup property. So let's see that is in action. So we need to create 3 new rollup properties to bring in monthly, quarterly and yearly portion from yearly budget database. Let's start with the monthly one. So to create the new rollup property, we'll click on this settings, then edit properties, new property, property type will be rollup, and we want to select the relation here, which is with yearly budget database. The target property would be monthly budget portion, and we want to see the original value as is, and we shall call it rollup monthly portion. Let's create the quarterly one. Click on edit property, new property, rollup, quarterly portion, relation, yearly budget database. Target property is quarterly budget portion, and this should be original. And finally, we want to add yearly portion. yearly budget database, and target property is yearly budget portion. And if we want to quickly check, we can just open fresh items and we can see that monthly roll-up value is 6000, and if we check here fresh items, it is 6000. Similarly, if we check the grocery item, the monthly roll-up value is 5000, and if we come here we can see 5000 here. Now let's quickly check daughter school fees. Let's open this one and we can see that the quarterly portion is 15,000, which is also mentioned here. By the way, I am shooting this video on 21st of June, which is a third Sunday of the June. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I am also a father of a daughter and my daughter made this card for me. We can also check one yearly expense type. Let's say this health insurance. If we open this, then the yearly portion, okay, yearly portion, it's showing insurance here. I think we made a mistake. So let's click on this, edit property, and yeah, we can see this is not correct. The target property should be yearly budget portion, and yeah, so now it is showing the yearly budget portion, which is 25,000, and if we come here for health insurance, it is 25,000. So now that we have all these three values available in monthly budget database, we can quickly write this monthly budget formula. So edit formula. So for monthly budget formula, we shall use a ifs condition and we shall compare the expense frequency. If the expense frequency is monthly, then we shall use the monthly portion. The data type of this rollup monthly portion column is a list which contains only a single value, and this first function will help us to pick up that particular value. So this condition is for monthly expense frequency type. Next, we want to check if the expense frequency is quarterly, then we want to pick up the value from quarterly portion. If the expense frequency is yearly, then we want to pick up the value from yearly portion. And we have one more expense frequency, ad hoc, and in that case we want to populate the value from the ad hoc budget override, which is a column inside the monthly budget database itself. So that's all we need for this formula. I need to clean this up. So this is the final formula that we need. So as we can see, this is now populated properly. However, for ad hoc it is still blank, because if you just open this, we can see ad hoc budget override is empty. So if we just see any value here, let's say 2000, then we can see that it is now picking up that value. Let's create the formula for actual till date, and to show you what we want to calculate, let me open this fresh items. This is a monthly fresh item record, and these are the two expense heads which are linked with this monthly fresh item record. And what we want to display there is the summation of these two values. So let's create a rollup property, edit property, new property, then rollup actual till date. Relation would be expense tracker database. Target property would be expense amount. This time the calculation would be summation. And if we come out, if we open the fresh items, we can see that the roll-up amount is 80, 50 and 30. Now the formula is very easy. We just want to point this to roll-up actual till date column. Similarly, for the actual survival amount, first we shall create a new property, roll-up relation expense tracker database. Target property survival amount, calculation, more options, sum. Since the survival amount percent for fresh item is 100%, so we would see the same value here under rollup actual survival. Now we shall go to actual survival amount, edit formula, and point this to rollup actual survivable. The way we have created the formulas for actual till date and actual survivable amount, you might be thinking that why do we need these two columns? Because we just pointed both of these to the roll-up columns that we created to calculate the values from the expense tracker database. And you might be thinking that we could have used those two roll-up columns directly inside this database, which is a valid thought, but I would request you to hold the thought for now, and we will come back to this when we will go to the yearly budget database and write the formulas there. Till date difference is basically the monthly budget amount minus actual till date. For the month, we will use this built-in function of Notion to extract the month from this date property. Similarly, for year, we shall use the year function to get the year. Let's now create the formula for yearly budget database. For the yearly budget portion, we need to multiply monthly budget portion with number of months plus quarterly budget portion into number of quarters plus yearly budget portion. Actual till date is similar to what we did in monthly budget database. So for example, if we open this fresh items and scroll down, we can see there are two items and the actual till date expense amount is 70 and 80 for these two records. So for this yearly budget actual till date record of fresh items, we want to see the summation of these two values. So let's create one new property, rollup relation monthly budget database. Target property is actual till date, and the calculation is going to be sum. Let's come out and open the last fresh items record. So we can see 150 here because the summation of this actual till date 70 and 80 is 150 here. Rename this to rollup actual till date. Now let's point this to rollup actual till date. Okay, just a while back we questioned why we need two columns to capture the same values. For example, this actual till date which is showing 150 and this rollup actual till date which is also showing 150. Now let me tell you why. Because if you remember, we have similar thing in monthly budget database. So for example, the first item, the actual till date is 100, and if we scroll down right side, we have this actual till date rollup as well, which is showing as 100. Now if we go to the yearly budget database and if you look at this rollup actual till date, we calculated this rollup value by summing up the value from this field actual till date, and this actual till date of monthly budget database is nothing but the same value that we have got in the rollup column of the monthly budget database. Now if you look closely, that rollup actual till date column of monthly database is not appearing here. Even if we try to search, there is nothing. Why? This is because Notion does not allow two level rollups. This rollup actual till date is the rolled up value of expense amount from the expense tracker database, and this is level 1, the first level rollup. Now when we go to the yearly budget database, this particular rollup actual till date, here again we are trying to bring the value from the expense tracker database, and that's a second level rollup, and we cannot use the rollup column of monthly budget database in that case. So as a workaround, we need another property which is this actual till date that we are rolling up here to show the value in yearly budget database. Certainly a new Notion concept, but it is more of a limitation, at least as of now, rather than a feature. Monthly budget average is yearly budget divided by number of months. Monthly actual average is actual till date divided by current month minus 1. Remaining budget is yearly budget minus actual till date, and till date difference is monthly budget average minus monthly actual average into current month minus 1. Okay, that's 2. That's all. We have created the formulas for all the databases, and as mentioned, those formulas are available in the Google Sheet as well. The link is in the description. If you found this video useful, then please like and subscribe. Also share and comments, and I shall see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.